Have you ever struggled with those true spin grinds, whether they be regular or topside? If so, then this is the video for you. Today we'll be dishing out all of the secrets about how to land true spin grinds. Check it out. Hey everybody, what's up from Roll, Minnesota, your state of skate. Butch Lehman here, and today we're out at Chaska skate park to give you guys a tutorial, little how-to video on doing true spin grinds. Now I know for a number of people, true spins are really difficult, particularly some of the true spin topside grinds, but you're in luck because that's exactly what we're gonna work on today. And I'm confident we'll get through this. As you can see, we've got some new skates. These are the Razor Graphites. And you guys know I like my Razor SLs. I've only used these for a couple of sessions, but I'm excited to get out at this park. The ground was resurfaced towards the end of last year in the fall, and it's nice and smooth. Really fun kink box over here, up, across, and down, and that's what we're going to use for our little demonstration of all the different true spins. Quick note before I forget, but true spins can be dangerous. They like to sweep out your legs and trip you, so having shin guards is really a must, especially if you're just learning. I'd highly recommend these ones from G-Form. I'll leave a link to them from Amazon if you're interested, but if you guys have used them before, you already know. This is the box. This is one of my favorite things. We're gonna go ahead and coat a bunch of wax on here. Can never be too slippery. Now for those of you that are unaware, what makes a true spin is you're actually spinning away from the obstacle. It's like the opposite of an alley-oop. And so the first secret to doing these well is you really have to have down your backside grinds, whether it's like a back farve or a back royale, because it's really the same type of approach and body position with slight variations. All right, we're feeling pretty comfortable on those backside royales and back farves going in both directions on the box. And this is where secret number 2 comes in. When doing true spins, it's all about body position as well as how you align the approach. Oftentimes, the biggest mistake people will make, especially on true topsides, is they'll jump over the obstacle instead of directly parallel with it. And your body likes to naturally, instinctually go a little bit too far. So the secret is to always aim inside, stair side or ramp side, just a little bit more than you think you need to. That'll put your body exactly where it needs to be. All right, so for most people, the next progression would be either true spin Mizu or true spin topsole, since in both of those situations, it's only one foot that's pivoting just 90 degrees. You can still keep that other foot there for safety, and it's the same exact approach as that backside royale or that backside farve. Anyway, we'll start with both of those, and then we'll get into some of the more difficult ones afterwards. So one of the keys to the true spin Mizu is you really have to lead with whichever shoulder you're going into. Whichever foot is your lead H-block foot, that shoulder needs to be pointed straight ahead parallel with the rail. All right, so the next easiest one for me is the true spin top porn star. And I know this one is a really difficult one for a lot of people to learn. So you gotta swing that back foot all the way around, and it's really a blind spin and a blind lock. I think the key though is again that parallel angle going straight with the rail and then jumping just a little bit inward, because when your body reaches over for the top side, it reaches. And if you're jumping over it and you're reaching for it, that's when your feet hit the top of the box or miss the rail entirely, slide out, and that's when bad things happen. So it's all about the reach, it's all about the approach on this one. All right, since we just did the true spin top porn star, I think we'll go back the other way with the regular true spin porn star, which is a little bit safer, but for me, a little bit more difficult. So that true spin porn star, very similar to the true spin Mizu. Only difference is you're picking up that back leg more and you're twisting it with your sole foot together at the same time, which makes it a little more dangerous, a little more difficult. So you don't have that H-block extended out to save yourself if you're going to fall. But overall, very similar trick. Now for most people, the truespin sole would be the next trick in the arsenal. This one is actually one of the more difficult ones for me. It's a very blind spin into the trick, and so you gotta make sure you're right above the coping when you lock in. Anyway, we'll give this one a couple of tries, and hopefully it goes well. It's one that I don't do very often. Just for good measure, we'll hit it once more on the way back. Definitely don't want to stick. All right, I think we're ready. All right, so the next two tricks are pretty hard ones. It's the truespin fish brain and the truespin macchio. What makes these difficult is not only is it a blind spin, but you gotta lock that one foot and get the grab in with the other, so it's a lot of commitment. Personally, I really like the true fish. That one is a lot more natural for me, and I know that's a bit unusual, but it's become something of a safety trick, so we'll start off with that one. Now, I can't emphasize this enough, but you need to be ready to catch yourself on that, because if your foot misses the coping or the ledge, it's gonna slide straight out, and that's when disaster strikes. So, as I alluded to earlier, this is where those shin guards come in handy. All right, so these last two are two of the hardest ones for me, and that's truespin kind grind, which is a topside variant, and then truespin acid. And what makes these two particularly difficult is on the truespin kind grind, you almost have to like under rotate it, because you have to get that back foot all the way around, and it wants to keep pivoting your shoulders around, and that's when you miss the sole foot. The other one, the truespin acid, is probably the most difficult out of all of them for me. And I know they come naturally to some people because that's the way they do backside Savannah, but for me, locking in that way doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very blind. You really have to twist that front H block all the way around, and to get both of those to lock onto the coping at once, it's a challenge, but we're gonna go get those ones next. Now, one of the things that I do like about the truespin top acid is you're able to twist around so much that you can use that front foot, the H block foot, as sort of a pivot foot, a catch foot, but also it helps you balance going down obstacles. Like I'm doing this up, across, and down box, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to hold some of these grinds, but having that foot in the back to pivot off of makes it a lot easier. All right, everyone, despite the wind, we were able to get all 10 variations of truespin grinds on the up, across, and down box behind me here at Chaska Skate Park. Now, these are all tricks that I've done before, but some of them, bit of a struggle, bit of a challenge. Others of them I have in my trick vocabulary and I do with regularity. That's the thing with these types of tricks. They're somewhat of the basics. They actually open up doors for other similar tricks and other variations, so they're definitely worth practicing. Anyway, guys, let me know which of the truespin grinds is your personal favorite and which one is actually the hardest one for you. For me personally, the truespin top horn and the truespin fish are my two favorites, and the one that gave me the most trouble today is probably the truespin acid and the truespin sole. Those are ones I don't do very often. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. I'm Butch Lehman of Roll, Minnesota, your state of skate. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay healthy, and get out there and do some rollerblading. We'll see y'all with the next video. Till then, peace, everybody.